The Entrepreneur MBA podcast purpose is to help existing business owners grow their companies past the 10 million in revenue per year benchmark. Here is your host, Stephen Halasnik.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Stephen Halasnik, and I am co-founder of Financing Solutions. Financing Solutions provides easy-to-set-up lines of credit for small businesses, and I will be your host for today's Entrepreneur MBA podcast. If you're interested in learning more about a line of credit for your business, please go to fscreditline.com. Again, that's FS as in Financing Solutions, creditline.com. Over the last 25 plus years, I've built 6 companies in the $5 million to $25 million range, including 2 companies that have made the Inc. 500 fastest growing companies in the United States. I love learning from people with business experience, and today I am extremely excited to be speaking with Orrin Klopper from Netsurit. And before we get to Orrin, just talk about our sponsor for today. Our sponsor is TMG, which is Technology Management Group. They, for the last 30 years, have been specializing in cybersecurity. And, that there are very few companies that have been doing cybersecurity for 30 years. And, anybody who's gotten attacked, if you haven't gotten attacked yet, you're lucky. It can really cause some serious issues. Several years ago, we got attacked, and we were lucky that we had really good backups. So if you have any issues in regards to cybersecurity, any concerns, questions, issues, looking for software, take a look at their website and give them a call. It's cyberctrl.net is their website. Again, cyberctrl.net. So I'd like to welcome our guest today, and it's a crazy story because, I get a lot of times people, organizations and PR people emailing me about coming on the Entrepreneur MBA podcast. And, I get this email from, a PR person, and it's someone who I knew. We went to Birthing of Giants together. 20 years ago. Yeah, 2000. You got a good memory. I was about to say 20 years ago. Well, I was close, right? And Birthing of the Giants was this amazing 3-year program that was run through at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and it was co-sponsored between Inc. magazine and an entrepreneur organization, EO. And they basically, you applied, and if your company was like this fast-growing company, you were selected into about a group of 50 to 60 people for a 3-year program to, really dive into entrepreneurship. And it was a 1-week program, and it's amazing the people that went and how well everybody. I mean, we have people that built $1 billion company. We have Orrin did, our guest today, Orrin, did extremely well with his company. There's just a number of people that all did super. I mean, like 90% of the people in the group did incredible. And anyway, that person that the PR person sent over to us was Orrin Klopper, who I'm welcoming today. And a little bit of a guest bio on Orrin. He's the CEO of Netsurit. It's a $40 million firm. He's grown it to over 100 people, and he's now been doing acquisitions and organic growth. He's a Microsoft partner and orchestrated 3 acquisitions through that period. He's proud to say he went to 9 schools as a kid, and he only got expelled from 3. And he's bi-coastal, so I think that's correct, Orrin, right? Between New York and South Africa.
Correct.
And the company is incorporated in where?
Delaware.
In Delaware. So, and your primary. So let's talk about Netsurit and what it does.
Yeah, sure. Netsurit is it's what's called a managed services business. We either are the IT department or we augment the IT department for our customers. And our ideal customer profile, Steve, is 25 to 1,000 user environments, manufacturing, financial services, healthcare, and we have quite a lot of other industries that we have experience in. And we're looking for organizations, typical customers that put strategic importance on the role technology can play in the success of their business.
So would people typically come to you because they don't have, they're not big enough to have a CIO, and they have technology needs, but they just don't want to, they just need somebody to manage that? Is that what the primary role is?
Yeah, that's very typical. So, give you an example. Just take the Microsoft Office 365 stack that most of our customers use. The rate at which Microsoft adds functionality that can have a direct impact on your productivity is so quick, and there is so much value there that just as a technology services company, we struggle to keep up with it and optimize the use of it internally. So, there's a massive opportunity for customers, I think, to find a partner that can help them make the most of the technology they're already investing in. And that's the space we position ourselves in.
Gotcha. So when clients say, when they want to come to you, or not clients, but when prospects say, they're looking at your company, what is their primary reason?
So it could be from they've really experienced very bad service from their existing managed service provider. They could have had an incident where a backup has been lost, or a cybersecurity breach, or they've kind of heard about our Innovate offering, which is really leveraging the Microsoft technology stack, Office 365, and the Power Platform stack, where so it's example, $5,000 a month. We will find $60,000 of ROI in a 12-month period, or we carry on working until we do, because a lot of these companies have invested in this technology, but they're not really making the most of it in an optimal way. And take, for instance, Microsoft's Copilot offering, which is due to be released quite soon. That plugs directly into Office 365. So we've already invested heavily in understanding how customers can use that to their advantage. So those are kind of some of the scenarios.
So I'm going to ask you a percentage question. I don't know if it's a guess, because I just have a hunch on this where I would be on this. But what percentage of your clients, your prospects, come to you and become clients, and the CEO has the foresight of saying, we are going to really utilize technology to beat our competitors, versus the other percentage that says things are always breaking, falling apart, and they're trying to play catch up? Which percentage? I have a guess, but what percentage of your clients are actually so foresighted that they say, this is a competitive advantage for us to be more productive from a technology standpoint? So I'm going to go with Orrin's company, Netsurit.
It's a great question, and I'll guess, but I'd love to take this back into my team and get a perspective from them. I'm guessing 40% have that perspective.
Yeah, I was going to say 20, but that I agree with you. And so I guess even I'm not trying to give you advice, I would look for those clients that they're making so much money that they just don't, the industry related, like the the financial industry, those guys are making really good money, and they can say, hey, this is a competitive advantage for us to use technology.
Yep.
Right. And that's why that's one of the.
And fast growth.
Yeah.
Companies growing quickly and they're being stretched and challenged just to deliver on their core business and what they have built real core competence in. They know that technology can enable and support that fast growth.
And plus it's easier to improve the productivity of the people you have than go find more people.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And automation is a massive opportunity in that. And we're very, very good at automation.
Yeah, well, that's good stuff. All right, I like it. All right, so let's get into our topic today. Now, like me and like Orrin, who's got 20 plus years of experience doing entrepreneurship, he could talk about so many different topics. And before we got on, we kind of got I haven't spoken to Orrin in a long time, and so I got an update. And so what we kind of a lot of times I do this with my guests, and I kind of heard Orrin. I think one of the things that his company has it's really their advantage. One of their key advantages, company culture, right? And everybody talks about company culture. I actually, I talk to my sons about company culture and what that really means. So today we're going to talk about why and how company culture is so important, because I've mentioned it so many times. Orrin, when did you first think that company culture was really important?
Yeah, I suppose when we were smaller, it happened organically. We were just deeply connected and we loved that. And then I think in 2004, I realized that if we were going to build something significant and truly a great organization, we needed a culture that would encourage people to be balanced, and a culture that kind of believed in the idea that your personal and work lives are inextricably linked, and that a workplace that celebrates that and lets that live in the line management relationship will be more successful. It might not be for everybody, because there's some cynical people who don't think that the work life and personal life are inextricably linked. We do. And that was in 2004. And there were a couple of things that happened in that year that kind of made me realize that. And I think, Steve, if I look at my own balance, I think I only really became balanced in 2007. So it took me myself to realize, okay, if I'm going to deliver and be the best CEO I can, I actually need to be balanced. I need to be healthy. I need to be active and present in the important relationships in my life.
Yeah, and just so everybody know, in my opinion, you have a company culture. It's rather have you defined it? Do you reinforce it, or is it did it just happen by default?
Yeah.
So like Orrin, I strongly believe in company culture, and let's talk about let's make this simple so people understand. Company culture is the personality of your company. That's what it is. Okay. And by the way, it is always stems from the top. The owner it's amazing, no matter how big a company gets, the company culture starts at the top. So if you look at Steve Jobs' company, Apple, his his company's culture is built around perfection of innovative design. And if you look at the history of Steve Jobs, where he went to school and the courses he took and what he was interested in, it was perfection of industry design. So anyway, it can define your company. Now you saying around 2004 you started. If you had to define you should be able to tell us, what is your company culture?
Yeah, I think it's if I look at our purpose, supporting the dreams of the doers, it talks to one of the key aspirations of our cultures, and that is where we want to support our people in achieving their goals and dreams in their lives, supporting our people in living their best lives whilst doing truly great work in a meritocratic culture. And if I look at kind of books that I've read and think like what talks to the dynamic of culture in organization, because you can performance measure sales, you can performance measure profit, you can performance measure staff or customer satisfaction, et cetera, but I think it's hard to performance measure culture. And Peter Bloch's book, Community, really was deeply insightful for me, because I think culture is more of a community-based leadership. And it's in its heart, there's an element of it which comes from the values that come out of the leadership team, but I think there's a whole lot of powerful culture that happens that is decentralized. So culture for us, obviously there's a values connection to it, but it's around this idea that your work life and your personal lives are inextricably linked, and that we've programatized this idea in the form of a dream book, which is your top 10 personal goals and dreams visualized. So we have over 300 people. We have over 300 dream books that are completed each year. You get put into a dream book, a dream group, Steve, which is modeled on Forum, on the way Forum works. You meet once a month in your dream group. There's a dream coach, which is like a Forum moderator. The dream coaches are trained, and it creates a connectedness that there's something that happens when I share with another person my real, who I really am and what I really want in my life. It creates a connection. And there's something in that, in our culture and the aspirations of our culture, that has created a glue with the fast growth that we've gone through. So, we were Inc. 5,000 last year, and we're Inc. 5,000 this year. And that the culture is kind of keeping the glue on the back of this very, very fast growth.
Well, I think you can measure it in two ways. One would be, and I'm sure you thought of this, but employee turnover and customers and employee satisfaction, right?
Yes, and
so that would be the way to measure it. If you are below the benchmark of, I guess if you're below 3% turnover, then it means that what you're doing with the dream, what's it called? Dream work or
Dreams
program works, right? So that would be I think anything could be measured. It's just a matter of kind of figuring out what that could be. So let me put this in my own words so that everybody, all our listeners, based on what you're talking about. So you will have your employees, they get together in a group with other employees, and in that group, there's a format for helping everybody achieve their goals in and out of work. Is that true?
Yes.
And how many people are in a group?
Anywhere between 6 to 12.
And who facilitates it?
A dream coach. So someone volunteers from within the group to be the dream coach. They get trained, and then you kind of have a dream coach elect that would follow them once they've done their year of leading that dream group.
And what have you seen the benefits of it are? I mean, I know it's obvious, but what do you tell me? What have you seen the benefits? First, let's just talk it about from not the business side of it. Let's talk about from the personal side. What's been the benefits?
Look, I think in our working day, how do we find real meaning? And what the program brings, I believe, is the epicenter of meaning in what you do on a day-to-day basis. And that is that in some way you are supporting one of your colleagues or a bunch of your colleagues in achieving what they really want in their life. So there's a meaning in that for me carries a lot of value. And for those people that this resonates in our culture, it really carries a lot of value. And then I think, not unlike an EO forum or a YPO forum, we advocate the idea of experience sharing. And what you'll find in these dream groups is different ages of people that have gone through different stages in life and have faced different challenges and achieved different goals. So that experience sharing is really powerful as you navigate, like you have your first child, or you're contemplating buying your first home, or you're contemplating retirement, or whatever it might be. Those different life experiences are really valuable. And I think what's also very powerful is what it brings is a different level of connectedness. So I did a Dream Connect with one of our team members in Poland earlier today, and I've never met her in person, and We did a Dream Connect today, and it just, so we were very in-office culture, Steve, but pre-pandemic, pre-COVID. And we've now embraced this idea of work from anywhere. And in that, what connectedness did we lose? So we're doing this Dream Connect. So we encourage people to do between 2 to 4 Dream Connects a month. And that the idea is connect with someone for 30 minutes or an hour who you don't work with on a day-to-day basis. If you want, share your dream book and just chat and meet each other and connect. And so I had this discussion with Victoria earlier today. And it was just, it's amazing. She's in Poland. I heard some about her life. It was just, so I think that brings another level of joy and connectedness to your work journey and life.
Now, from a business standpoint, what have you seen it do for your company?
So it's helped us to find and keep great people. And I say that, I'll add a but it's not for everybody. Because, I remember when we first bought a business in New York, and I remember, that it didn't go well. Let me put it this way: we made every mistake you could. It was 2016. We made every mistake you could imagine, except go out of business. And I kind of heard that some of the people were saying, "Yeah, this is Netsurit's way of getting into your personal life and manipulating you and prying." I mean, I know one of the customers in New York said to me, one of our contacts said, "If you ever tell my CEO about this, okay, and he implements it, I will make sure you get fired, because I don't want anything to do with the program like this." I mean, another one, part of our take on of new customers, we tell them about our dreams program. And I remember the one feedback was, "Well, I'll never get that hour back," so so it's not for everybody, right? You go to Glassdoor, you'll see some reviews. Yeah, this dreams program, they said it was optional, but it's more like a cult. So it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But where it resonates, it creates a glue that is next level. And we have a lot of boomerang people where they leave and then they come back because they love the connectedness. So finding and keeping great people is the single greatest benefit that we've achieved from the program. And that in turn enables us to do great stuff for our customers. And then the next one I would love to just elaborate on is when we acquire another business, which is part of our growth model, we're looking to keep the key leaders to travel the journey with us. We don't want to change the soul of what's already there. If anything, we want to protect that. What are their rituals? What are some of their cool things that they do? And let that continue and nurture it. We just bring the layer of our culture in, which is best represented by the Dreams program. And it brings that extra level of connectedness.
When you, God, I got so many questions, but when you acquired companies, do you implement the Dream format with them?
Yes.
And have you seen more pushback because those people didn't sign up for it originally?
No, so we've done 4 acquisitions over the last 2 years. The one acquisition, there was pushback, and it came primarily from the leader, which we didn't understand until we got probably further into it. And all the others have just embraced it. So my dream group, the guy that leads my dream group is based out of our team in New Jersey. And that business we acquired, they just embraced it and jumped on. They're like some of the best participants. The business, the other business we bought, we generally give it time for them. We generally give 6 months to 12 months before we kind of bring the Dreams program, unless they're asking for it. The CEO of that business we bought, we closed the deal in December of 2021. By January 2022, he sent his dream book to me. We didn't ask him. He just loves it. He thinks like that. He's wired in that way.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of his name right now, but there was a guy that you and I went to the Birthing of Giants with. He was out of Florida. He owned a healthcare staffing company
Jason.
No, it wasn't Jason, but I know Jason, of course. And I can't think of his name right now. I think I met him at Birthing of Giants, but yeah. Anyway, he had given me this idea similar to what you were talking about. And since I was 21, I developed this process called a life plan. And I don't want to get too much details on it, but what had happened was I was working for Xerox, and that was my first 8.5 years of my career. I was working for Xerox, and they came up with this corporate plan, and inside of that corporate plan, they had their mission, their purpose, their culture, and then you had to put it. They had their goals, and then you had to put in your goals and how you were going to achieve your goals. So I was like, oh, this is pretty good. I like this.
That's cool.
I can apply this to my personal life.
That's
and
cool.
So I took that, and over every year since then, over 30 years, I tweaked it. I add things. If I read something I really like, I added a section called core competencies, which helped me identify what my own core competence. So I tweaked it. Anyway, so I looked at this and I said, this is a while ago. I said, you know what? This might be really good with, the people who are working for me. And then I had talked, I can't think of his name right now. And he started doing something where he had his employees share with him what they wanted out of their goals or where they were headed. Like you said, maybe they wanted to buy a house, or, maybe they were going to have a kid, or maybe they're going to get married, or, all the other stuff. So I started having everybody fill out a life plan, and I asked them if they wanted to share it with me in our meeting, just one-on-ones. And we'd go out to lunch, and I'd say, if they wanted to, great. If they didn't, I had more experience. And so, and if I had more contacts, so if there was something they were trying to do, I would, try to point them in the right direction or give them some advice. And, the purpose was twofold. One of them was to, for me to get closer to my employees and to help them. And at the time, there was this big transition going of no longer a separation between work and life anymore.
Yes.
So that, when I worked for Xerox, you worked and then you had your life.
Yes.
And, 15 years later, after, I started working for Xerox, that whole thought process changed, and employees' lives are integrated with their work. So it was something similar to what you're doing.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
just programmatized it in a couple of different ways, but the heart of it is the exact same thing. And my thinking is that any great leader or manager would want to know what their people really want in their lives.
Well, I think if you care about your people, that's what ends up happening. By the way, one of the changes too was in my second company, which is when you knew me, Orrin. I had this company called Expert Seeker, which placed technology consultants in Fortune 500 companies, and then I started this other company called Healthcare Seeker, which placed registered nurses at hospitals throughout the United States on long-term temporary assignments. When I went from Expert Seeker, I did not like the people who worked for me at Expert Seeker. And when I started Healthcare Seeker, I said, this is all have to change. I want to hire people that I like, that I've done a good job of vetting, so on and so forth. And I really want to get to know them. And I want to really enjoy the people I work with. And in order for me to do that, I have to give back more. So that I remember that transition was more complicated than that. The thing that I wanted to make sure our listeners know is, like, Orrin's plan with dreams is very, very far along, right? And I think, Orrin, when I hear what you're saying, even as just a listener, I'm like, wow, that's like so advanced. I don't think as a listener, if you are running your company, you don't have to go to Orrin's extreme yet, because he's really been doing it a long time. Is that fair?
Yeah, we've been doing it since 2008.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, if you walked away for this conversation saying, maybe I need to have one more one-on-one conversations with my people, that would be a nice start.
Yeah, I think that's such a simple way of taking away something super easy and actionable.
Let me ask you: if a owner of a company that you were acquiring was completely against this,
Wouldn't do the deal.
you wouldn't do this. That's what I
No.
thought. Yeah, it's interesting because from what I've read, I haven't acquired any companies, but from what I had always read is often the acquisition fails because of company culture.
Yes.
And so by doing the Dreams program, you are identifying that the company that's you're going to be buying is a cultural fit because they want to do it.
Yes. Yes.
By the way, how do you go about identifying people to acquire?
We have two buy-side advisory firms that find us opportunities. And then we're getting a lot of referrals because I think there is an element of us that is resonating, and people that like what we're doing are referring us. So we're actively, paying companies to find us opportunities, but we're getting referrals as well.
And the companies that you're looking to acquire, they are in the existing business of IT outsourcing.
Yes, that's it. It's
So
managed service providers.
are any of those, have you been looking at companies that bring you outside of that scope at all? Do
Yes,
something else? Have you
yes.
done any acquisitions like that?
One, we
And what
did.
did they do?
They have deep SharePoint and Microsoft Power Platform and
Oh,
coding skills, and they're automation experts. There's a
in
massive opportunity to drive automation in our customer base. That the Victoria who I did the Dream Connect with this morning, she's from that business we acquired.
Were they in Poland or is she just in Poland?
It's the business based in Poughkeepsie, but they always had a team in Poland.
Gotcha. So with the where do you do most of your work?
Our customers
Yes.
across the Northeast, New Jersey, New York, and Brunswick, Maine. That's kind of the main areas. But we have customers on the West Coast. We have smatterings of, I'd say 70% of our customers currently are in that geography. And then 30% is we're servicing from, across the US.
What percentage of your employees actually just work from their home versus an office?
Over 90%.
90%. Now, is that
It used
because,
to be 30% during pre-pandemic.
well, and those 90% don't want to go back to an office?
We don't want them to go back to the
Yeah, I
office.
know. Yeah.
No, think about it like this. So if our key aspiration is that you live your best life, and you used to spend an hour traveling into our Manhattan office every day, okay, and now you're saving 2 hours a day. If I make you come back into the office, I'm actually going against our purpose. Who can give you 2 hours a day? Who? How can you find 2 hours a day? It's crazy. These guys are exercising more. They're seeing more of their family. They're being more productive. It's like we will never, ever force people to go back to the office. Never.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I could play a little bit devil's advocate a
Do
little
it.
bit. I'll give you two scenarios. The first one is I just listened to this amazing podcast on this by this guy named Sam Harris, but he's the guy who does the interview, and he had the Surgeon General of the United States on there and talking about loneliness and how it's a major epidemic right now going on, and um, he would attribute some of that to people saying that they're working out of their home, and some of them do not have the traditional spouse family
Mm,
around them,
mm, yeah.
and so it, I- um, so that was one. And the other one is I have a 23-year-old son who works for Wells Fargo as a software engineer, works for the data science division. And he said when he was looking for a job that if the job was 100% remote, he would not take it because he wants to be around people. Now he doesn't mind it if it's 3 days a week in the office or 2 days a week in the office and then the rest. But if he's another example of somebody who he doesn't live home. He lives in Hoboken, New Jersey, but he's another example of someone who says, this isn't for me. Now, I'm sure down the road, maybe when he gets married, if he gets married, kids, he'll appreciate it. So what have you found in those areas?
So what's the name of that podcast, Steve? The Sam Harris?
It's called Making Sense. Sam Harris and
on loneliness.
Yeah, it was on loneliness. Let's see if I still have
it. I'll take a listen to that.
It was really, really good. I thought it was excellent. But I can see where that dreams program that you have could help somebody with that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I suppose, when you look at the Dream Connect, so your dream group is one nucleus, and then the Dream Connect, where if you're lonely, you can literally you can connect with as many people as you like. But I think there's part of the glue and momentum that we're experiencing right now that is still leaning on the fact that we were so connected and we did spend so much time together. So I think coming in as a new person into Netsurit today, the dynamic of your son probably does apply, where maybe some people wouldn't want to join. So what do we do? You can go work at the office. So we've got an office in every region that we are geographically located, and some people do. They go. We just don't force anybody to go. And then we are doing more social get-togethers. What that balance is, we haven't yet landed on that, but I love that perspective, and I appreciate you putting that out. I haven't heard that feedback from my team, but it might very well be why.
Well, it's a touchy subject. I know, and I could see where the dreams group would really help out. I mean, I was telling Orrin before he got on, and some of our listeners, I maybe mentioned it once or twice, but 2 years ago, I lost my wife unexpectedly. She passed, and so I'm struggling with loneliness right now, not just just in general. So that's one of the reasons why I was listening to the podcast. But if I was in a group, it's really hard for a majority of people. I'm not one of those people, but it's really hard for a majority of the people to get involved in something that gets them in a tennis group or a reading group or a Bible group, or it's not normal. It's for people to go do stuff like that. And yet that's the thing that I think it's relationships which makes your life excellent, right? If without those relationships, then we're social creatures. And so I could see with the dreams group, like if I was in the dreams group, I'd say, guys, I'm really lonely right now. And my group, I'm sure, would say, have you tried this? Have you thought about this? What, you're really interested in rowing. Why don't you, have you thought about joining a rowing club and stuff like that, and help get me outside of my traditional thinking, and, before I kind of wrap this up, I'll tell you a story. Orrin, are you familiar with Meetup?
Yes.
Yeah. So Meetup started by a guy after 9/11 happened. And he felt that as a society, we were not talking to each other enough. And so he felt that having people be able to meet up into a group would help stop other 9/11s from happening so that we could understand each other's culture. And so, this is way back in 2001. So that this all came about, about groups and stuff like that. And I think, to me, people who are working remotely, I think it's a problem. I think it's a problem. Yeah. So where do you think Dreams is headed next? If you had to say, this is our next evolution of Dreams, where do you think it's headed?
So I would love to include in our budget that the dream groups could do a retreat every year.
Yeah.
And partially fund that. So that would be amazing. And I would love, the one dynamic about being a good coach as a leader is I think you're a better leader if you know how to coach people.
Yeah.
And learning to be a good dream coach, I think makes you a better leader.
Yeah.
I would love to put more budget into a nomination process where you can, in your dream group, you can nominate to make someone's dream come true. Yeah. And then, like, for instance,
I was wondering what you were looking for. That's his daughter. Yeah.
Cookie Daddy's busy. Sorry.
Her little princess outfit, huh?
Yeah, no, she wears these princess outfits. It's so much. They literally fall apart. Like we have to hide them.
It's great. Oh man, that's precious.
What I hope from the economies of scale, we can leverage. We find additional budget to invest and pour more into this program because it's it just feels deeply meaningful and it's fun.
Yeah, and if you did it, it would also potentially solve that issue, which I'm talking. Well, I'm not saying it's an issue, but that we want to be more connected, and the idea behind the remote work. You might be accomplishing two goals with doing that. Even if you had a company retreat and then everybody separated at that point into their groups, right? So
I mean, I just want to thank you for bringing this perspective up because I've never kind of heard it explicitly sort of stated like that. And it excites me that how do we leverage the dream group to make people spend more time together, connect. Thank you for challenging me on that.
Ideas I can come up with. Executing them like I usually can too, but I'm getting old, so I'm getting toward the tail end of my career, not in the beginning. So it's fun stuff. I really like what you're doing, and I really like the discussion about culture. I really believe it. I think it's a competitive advantage. I really do. I think if you identify your culture and you really work on it, and you know it, and everybody knows it, and you hire into it. I keep saying that to everybody that it's a competitive advantage. You are competing against other companies, and whether it be technology about what Orrin does, his company does, a competitive advantage, or your culture, those are things that make a difference because you're always competing against another company. So what are you going to be better at? So that's the key. So. All right, it was a great conversation. Really great seeing Orrin again. I'm so glad that his companies have done really, really well. He's always been a thought leader, and it shows. So I'd like to thank again Orrin Klopper from Netsurit. It's Netsurit for coming on today's podcast. And if you like today's podcast, please feel free to share it with a friend and also subscribe in your favorite podcasting app. Please also give us a 5-star review if you like today's podcast or any of the other podcasts. It really helps us get the word out. And of course, if you're looking for a line of credit for your business, you can call us at 862-207-4118 or visit our website at fscreditline.com. Again, that's FS as in Financing Solutions, creditline.com. Orrin, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, how would they go about doing that?
Probably LinkedIn is easiest. Just go on LinkedIn and message me there. I'm very responsive.
Yeah, and his name is spelled Orrin, last name Klopper, Klopper. Again, Klopper. And Orrin, it was great seeing you again and catching up.
Yes.
And I wish you the best of luck as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Steve. Amazing to reconnect with you.
And I already did my summary, which I usually did at the end of the night. Or not my summary, my hint, my advice. And my advice is, creating a company culture, it really is a key to helping you. And, listen, if I see companies, the objective of this podcast is to help you to get over 10 million, because then you become acquisition targets. And I think the companies that have a culture defined and really work on it are the ones that get over 10 million. So I think it's a key ingredient in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, everybody, have a great day. It was good, great podcast. It was very fascinating to me. Have a good day, everybody. We'll see you later.